Sahlab by Naomi Goldner. For days my mother is paranoid about the garage mechanic, Gonzalez, scheming against her with the smog man, finding new things to fix every day before she passes the test. Finally, he sends her off to drive for 50 miles and come back. He thinks it will be good at last if the car can make the trip without a problem. We all pile in because we have nothing better to do, and any drive out of foggy San Francisco this summer is a blessing. Even if it is to the suburbs I have never seen before, by the airport, going against traffic so we don't have to sit in the car with my grandma and my 2 little boys for longer than necessary. It's good for the car to be full and heavy, my mother explains, giving our family excursion importance. A quick group decision. We hit the first 25 miles and take the first exit in search of a cup of coffee, and then head back to the city. We find ourselves in Redwood City, quicker than we expect, and the combination of warm weather and houses with lawns and suburban streets, still lined with sidewalks, makes us all feel like we're back home, back in a small town in Israel. Just a few minutes out of the city, and here we are. In a simplicity, in a warmth, the slowness of a suburb, the outskirts of town, where trees are for climbing, where people can less easily disappear. Mike is the guy who serves us the coffee, which turns into frozen yogurt for the grandma and the kids. He's dark and lean, a handsome man who looks like the world has hit him across the face more than once, but that he always smiles back at that. Seeing that he might be of Arab descent, our cousin, we begin to lower our loud Israeli voices. It's not the fear that makes us automatically become aware of our Israeli existence and want to humble it, although there is always the irrational anxiety of being poisoned or kidnapped or simply kicked out. It's not as much fear as perhaps a feeling of intrusion, of wanting to hide what we have come to represent. No matter how many nights of our childhood we sat on our parents' shoulders in city squares holding signs to end the occupation. No matter how many members of our family were killed or hurt or had songs and novels written about their heroic life and tragic death. More than fear is the shame, the helplessness, the unfulfilled eagerness to break open the truth, laugh at the similarities, realize the closeness of our existence, an apology. The Sahlab is what finally gives it away. 3 lines down from the top of the chalk menu, under the warm drinks, after the lattes, before the hot chocolate. Sahlab, I say, just loud enough to grab his attention, not really asking for it, not questioning what it is, just Sahlab. Mike looks up, Mike, who's probably really Musa, Arabic for Moshe, which is my son's middle name. I smile shyly, realizing I had exposed myself by the way I pronounced the word, by the knowing tone in my voice, my accent, the richness of memories folded into my Sahlab, the milky pudding topped with rose water, crushed pistachios, and shredded coconut. Yeah, it's still up there, but we haven't been serving it for years, Mike smiles, trying to read me like a map, looking for the borders, the capital, where the water sources are, where I was born, to whom, and to which corner of the city. I exaggerate my disappointment over the Sahlab, hoping to reach a mutual ground with this stranger who all I have in common with is the place of origin, the sensation in our lungs as we breathed in that thin, holy air back home, the shared knowledge that there is no solution, no matter how much we talk, no matter how much we say that both sides are at fault, that it is the leaders, not the people, that it is ridiculous to be so similar and so hateful. If only we could just meet in cafes and liquor stores and restaurants, miles away from home. Americans don't know what's good, I smile. I guess it's too exotic for them, too many flavors. The smile he returns sends his glance down to the counter, and after a few moments he looks back up, straight into my eyes. The smile is now gone. Nothing there instead, just a blankness, a hesitation, perhaps a snapshot of his memory floating before his eyes on his way to mine. So where are you from? Palestine. You? Yeah, me too. I mean, you know, we're all from, well, I was born in Jerusalem. I pause, if that makes it where I'm from. Mike laughs softly. Me too, he says, from Jerusalem. I think of his Jerusalem in mind, of where he was born, under which occupation, with which hands he was pulled out of his mother's womb, and into which part of the city he was taken, swaddled in a hospital blanket. The lines on his face tell me he was born in a different Jerusalem than mine. His Jerusalem. Free Jerusalem. I thought of the ancient stones, the muezzin rolling over the city calling to prayer, the alleys, donkey hooves, the market. That we share. A history. I'm suddenly ashamed of the racket my family is making. Noisy, always feeling at home, claiming the space. We're always loud Israelis, no matter how hard we try to refine ourselves. Far from home. Far from what we call home. From what was once home. Never home. Stolen home. A deserted home. A home with high ceilings, with which my grandparents moved into after the war. Bought for cheap. Taken with blood. A home where Mike and I would never meet. Where we would never speak, where we would never stand facing each other, our hearts longing for the same place that we call home, for the sweet taste of milk pudding, topped with crushed nuts, coconut, rose water, and a sprinkle of cinnamon, sold on almost every street corner. You should bring it back, I smile. I'll make the trip over here from the city to have some, any day. I round up my family, leaving him with my peace offering, my attempt. As we drive back into foggy San Francisco, through the suburbs of Redwood City, we are all finally quiet. The car swerving us through the freeway without any problem. I think of the corner store owner, Phil, who is really Faisal, and of our Palestinian friend, John, who's really Hannah, and of many other cousins I have met here, familiar faces speaking a different language, smiling with understanding as I apologize with my body, with my words, if I'm given the chance. Apologize for my existence in their history, for the noise we make, for what I have come to represent in their lives. And I think how if we could just all meet in cafes away from our home, then maybe, just maybe.